Okay, we're reading A Course in Miracles. We're on chapter 15. Chapter 15 is called The Holy Instant, and the section today is Practicing the Holy Instant. It's section 4. Here we go. This course is not beyond immediate learning unless you believe that what God wills takes time. And this means only that you would rather delay the recognition that His will is so. The Holy Instant is this instant in every instant. The one you want it to be, it is. The one you would not have it be is lost to you. You must decide when it is. Delay it not, for beyond the past and future, where you will not find it, it stands in shimmering readiness for your acceptance. Yet you cannot bring it into glad awareness while you do not want it, for it holds the whole release from littleness. Your practice must therefore rest upon your willingness to let all littleness go. The instant in which magnitude dawns upon you is but as far away as your desire for it. As long as you desire it not and cherish littleness instead, by so much is it far from you. By so much as you want it will you bring it nearer. Think not that you can find salvation in your own way and have it. Think not that you can give over every plan you have made for your salvation in exchange for God's. His will content you, and nothing else can bring you peace, for peace is of God and no one beside Him. Be humble before Him, and yet great in Him, and value no plan of the ego before the plan of God. For you leave empty your place in His plan, which you must fill if you would join with me, by your decision to join in any plan but His. I call you to fulfill your holy part in the plan that He has given to the world for its release from littleness. God would have His host abide in perfect freedom. Every allegiance to a plan of salvation apart from Him diminishes the value of His will for you in your own mind. And yet it is your mind that is the host to Him. Would you learn how perfect and immaculate is the holy altar on which your Father has placed Himself? This you will recognize in the holy instant, in which you willingly and gladly give over every plan but His. For there lies peace, perfectly clear, because you have been willing to meet its conditions. You can claim the holy instant anytime and anywhere you want it. In your practice, try to give over every plan you have accepted for finding magnitude in littleness. It is not there. Use the holy instant only to recognize that you alone cannot know where it is and can only deceive yourself. I stand within the holy instant as clear as you would have me, and the extent to which you learn to accept me is the measure of the time in which the holy instant will be yours. I call to you to make the holy instant yours at once, for the release from littleness in the mind of the host of God depends on willingness and not on time. The reason this course is simple is that truth is simple. Complexity is of the ego and is nothing more than the ego's attempt to obscure the obvious. You could live forever in the holy instant, beginning now and reaching to eternity, but for a very simple reason. Do not obscure the simplicity of this reason, for if you do, it will be only because you prefer not to recognize it and not to let it go. The simple reason, simply stated, is this. The holy instant is a time in which you receive and give perfect communication. This means, however, that it is a time in which your mind is open both to receive and give. It is the recognition that all minds are in communication. It therefore seeks to change nothing, but merely to accept everything. How can you do this when you would prefer to have private thoughts and keep them? The only way you could do that would be to deny the perfect communication that makes the holy instant what it is. You believe you can harbor thoughts you would not share, and that salvation lies in keeping thoughts to yourself alone. For in private thoughts known only to yourself, you think you find a way to keep what you would have alone and share what you would share. And then you wonder why it is that you are not in full communication with those around you and with God who surrounds all of you together. Every thought you would keep hidden shuts communication off because you would have it so. It is impossible to recognize perfect communication while breaking communication holds value to you. Ask yourself honestly, would I want to have perfect communication, and am I wholly willing to let everything that interferes with it go forever? If the answer is no, then the Holy Spirit's readiness to give it to you is not enough to make it yours, for you are not ready to share it with him. And it cannot come into a mind that has decided to oppose it. For the holy instant is given and received with equal willingness, being the acceptance of the single will that governs all thought. The necessary condition for the holy instant does not require that you have no thoughts that are not pure, but it does require that you have none that you would keep. Innocence is not of your making. It is given you the instant you would have it. Atonement would not be if there were no need for it. You will not be able to accept perfect communication as long as you would hide it from yourself. For what you would hide is hidden from you. In your practice, then, try only to be vigilant against deception and seek not to protect the thoughts you would keep to yourself. Let the Holy Spirit's purity shine them away and bring all your awareness to the readiness for purity he offers you. Thus will he make you ready to acknowledge that you are host to God and hostage to no one and to nothing. Okay, this section is practicing the holy instant. Let's just read the first line again. This course is not beyond immediate learning unless you believe that what God wills takes time. This is a restatement of what came earlier, which is that the holy instant, it already happened, actually. It's the only thing that's happening. It's the only reality is the holy instant. There's nothing else that's actually real, including time and space. Time is not real. Time is a construct of the ego mind. And the ego's thought system is a thought system based in separation. And so separation would require time to be a reality, because time is part of, what keeps things, keeps that sense of separation. Time and space is what are very important constructs in the ego's thought system, because they help to divide things up. Like Jesus says we live in eternity. But if we live in eternity, why do we not feel that? And why do we feel that we have no idea what God is and where is God? Jesus is here telling us, what it comes down to is willingness. You desire. You do not have, most of us, all of us, do not have that as our sole desire. And if we did have that as our sole desire to know our true reality, we would have it. We would be there. But how many of us really put our attention there? Very few of us. Even many great seekers. We're pulled in many different directions, and it's hard to escape the pull of the conditioning of, say the conditioning of the ego that makes this seeming reality so real to us, and the reality of God very scary. Right? Again, it's that idea of it's God's, the ego does not want to dissolve, because, and in our identification with the ego, we fear that, because that would seem to be the end of everything, right? Our life would be no more. And Jesus is here telling us, well, that's because we have accepted the littleness of the ego versus the magnitude of God. And if we really understood what that is, we would want only that. Now, many people have asked, the biggest question in the world of A Course in Miracles is, well, if magnitude is really all we really want and all we really are, how did this whole thing happen? That seems crazy. How does Jesus account for that? Where did this all come from? If the ego is not real, and if our home is in God, Why would we have ever left? There's not really a satisfying answer to that. Jesus does give an answer. The tiny mad idea is the answer. But Jesus does not really try to really explain it all, because he knows he's dealing with the ego. Only our egos are in doubt, right? And so you can't really figure these things out through the ego. It's like the ego trying to figure itself out, but it doesn't really want the answer. So Jesus really can only, the best he can do is to tell you what it is not, what we don't want, and then we can let go of what is not real and meet the conditions of truth, meet the conditions of reality, and then the truth will dawn upon it. Jesus uses this language: truth will dawn upon us when we're ready. When we have met the conditions of truth, truth will dawn upon us of itself, right? We won't need to do anything else. We will have met its conditions, and we will have shown that we are truly willing, we're truly open, and that's what we want. But most of us do not want that, and we're not even conscious enough that is even a choice. Many people are not even aware of the choices that they have, the options that they have, right? So I stand within the holy instant as clear as you would have me. And the extent to which you learn to accept me is the measure of the time in which the holy instant will be yours. I call to you to make the holy instant yours at once, for the release from littleness in the mind of the host of God depends on willingness and not on time. This is a restatement in different words of something Jesus said earlier, which is a great little quote, and that is that love waits on welcome and not on time, right? Meaning it's all up to what we want. If we want love now, we can have it right now. And that literally means now, like we could wake up, we could be back in reality in a moment if we truly want that. And people are experiencing that all the time because that's what they want, and so that's what they experience. And somewhere in the Course, we're going to get to it, Jesus says that experience, that revelation, that holy instant can happen in any number of ways. It will happen when we're good and ready. Once we've met those conditions, it will happen. It may happen in a dream, in a vision. It may happen on a psychedelic journey. It may happen, however, we might be doing breathing. We might be, doing even just minding our own business, and all of a sudden it hits us, right? It could happen anytime, right? When you least expect it, probably. That itself, that experience, doesn't mean that you're done. It just means that you've had the experience. There may still be work to do. Because what happens, from my own experiences, what happens is you have experiences like that. We all probably, many of us that are into A Course in Miracles have had some kind of spiritual experience, right? But you have those experiences, but then you get back into your doubt, you get back into the ego, and it's hard to bring those experiences back, right? We forget. And we get back into doubt, we get back into the fear, and it's hard to it's hard to remember what it was, and we may even doubt, was that really real? Was that true? Was that it? Now, this whole thing about private thoughts, Jesus is saying there's one reason, this truth is very simple, this course is very simple, and there's one simple reason why you're not experiencing the holy instant right now. And he says, the holy instant is a time in which you receive and give perfect communication. This means, however, that it is a time in which your mind is open both to receive and give. It is the recognition that all minds are in communication and therefore seeks to change nothing but merely to accept everything. That's a tall order. So we would be in perfect communication, except in acceptance of everything. We would have no private thoughts. What I think Jesus means by that is, why are we here to begin with? We're here because we wanted to be, and we still want to be, a separate, autonomous individual that is basically the God of our own universe. We are, there is no God. The ego is God, right? And so we have our own private worlds. We all have our own private worlds, and we think that we're all separate. And waking up, as we wake up, and it's a journey. It's a journey of life. As we go through our journey of life, we start to realize that we are not special, and that all of our thoughts are shared by everyone else. We have no thoughts that no one else. I mean, everyone has the same. Ultimately, I remember when I was younger, and maybe you had this experience too. I thought that I was really special and that I was really different, and that was part of the source of my great suffering, is that I was so different than everyone else, and no one felt as I did, and no one could understand me. And on my worst days, I had a deep inferiority complex, and on my better days, I had a superiority complex. Like, I am special, I am really special. I am really different, and I'm really, something really special. And then on other days, I'm horrible. I'm really a terrible person. I'm especially horrible, worse than other people. And if people only knew my thoughts, they would, it's like that Bob Dylan song. What song is it? It's all right, Ma, I'm only bleeding. He says, if my thought, something like, if my thoughts could be seen, they'd put my head in a guillotine. We all think that on some level, is that we see our thoughts, right? And we're like, wow, that was a crazy thought. That was insane. and we would be a lot more mentally unstable, I think, if we took those thoughts really seriously. But a healthy person says, yeah, that thought is there, and everyone has that thought. Everyone has these kinds of thoughts. It's not a big deal, right? It's nothing to worry too much about, to get too fixated on. But when you're in that feeling of being special, being different, you think that your thoughts are not shared by everyone. You think you have private thoughts that are not shared. Waking up would be, the holy instant would be the knowledge that everyone's mind is one, actually. Yes, we all have our unique experience of life, but ultimately all minds are linked together, and we're all in the same boat, and we're all in the same ego thought system, caught up in the same ego thought system, and wanting for the life of us to get free of it. And the more that we can accept that, the closer we will be to waking up from the dream. Because as long as we think that we're special in our suffering, or special in our glory, or in anywhere in between that, any kind of specialness, we're playing the ego's game. So anyway, hope that was helpful. I didn't really intend to go into specialness, and specialness is going to come up very soon in the course, but just a little bit. We're really talking about the holy instant, and next section is the holy instant and special relationships. So there you go. We are going to talk about special relationships soon. And there is a whole chapter, there's a whole bunch of stuff later on special relationships. So we're going to get there. All right. Thanks for listening. Talk soon. Adios.